Hi, I'm Shirley Cuffee, bringing you a touch of Native America. I promised you guests, and I have kept my promise. So without further ado, I'd like to present to you Mark Gould, Tribal Councilman of the Nanticoke Lenni-Lenape. Mark?
Onisha. Today I would like to discuss a few issues that have a great impact on our tribe. One primarily is in the state of New Jersey, we have no Commission on Indian Affairs. I just want to briefly mention a couple of the things, and then as we keep on around the table, there are more issues that need to be brought forth. In our area, we have approximately 2,000 members of the tribe, and we have gone back primarily to a lot of the old ways. And the old ways that we have are primarily governed by the elders and the things that kept the peace and kept honor amongst our people in the old days, because we seem to be losing it. And to help me, I brought our coordinator, Karen Mosley, our practicing spiritual leader, Lew Gray Squirrel, and his daughter. She's a student at Princeton.
Yes.
To represent the youth group. If I can turn it over to Karen.
Well, Mark started talking about the Commission on Indian Affairs that our tribe is trying to sponsor, and it's being sponsored by Senator Zane, and we really feel strongly that this is needed in the state of New Jersey, because there is no official office in the state that represents Native American affairs. So our tribe is, strongly supports the passage of a bill that's currently in the Senate Government Affairs Committee right now to pass the bill, which I think it's S692. For a Commission on Indian Affairs in the state of New Jersey. So that's one of the things that our tribe is doing to promote Native American culture and heritage, and to see that the state looks at Native Americans.
Exactly where are you located in New Jersey?
We're in South New Jersey. A lot of times people think of Trenton as South Jersey, but we are in Cumberland County. Our cultural center is located in Cumberland County, in Bridgeton. We have members that reside in Gloucester, Cumberland, Salem County mainly. The bulk of our members reside in Cumberland County.
What do you have, do you have a reservation, or is it a community that we're discussing?
More or less a community. We have their land. That's another.
Oh, well, that's your land base, is your community.
Well, we do have a tribal center that we own.
Okay, good.
But we need land, and I think that one of our tribal council members should certainly be able to talk to you about that.
Well, what do you say, Mark? Who's next on this?
Well, Lew Gray Squirrel isn't feeling too good, but I do want to have him come into this, because one of the things that we're having trouble with is, actually dealing with the government. Since they gave us our right to practice our religion, they haven't given us our right to have the implements. One of them is the eagle feathers that we have to borrow from another tribe, which is quite unfair. Lew, can you elaborate more?
Yeah, we, as Indian people, we respect the eagle, and the eagle feathers is one of our most prized possessions. The Great Spirit gave it to us to honor him, along with the tobacco, the cedar. My commitment was, Mark says I'm acting spiritual leader, was to bring what knowledge I have to my people. This is what I try to do. I'm not totally knowledgeable, but I'm learning, as most of the tribe is learning.
Very good. Very good.
Well, see, go ahead.
No, go right ahead, Mark.
No, but see, one of the things that's happened here, so that you can understand the practicing, the learning, most of our past 200 years, our governing body has been through the churches because they've been all Native American churches. Since the 60s, there's been a lot of integration. Integration is good, but sometimes it has an adverse effect on some communities. And like I said, one of the things, the elders of the church were no longer Native American, so the Native American programs that were run through the churches were no longer available. So some of the things that we had to do to recoup, we've asked our brothers on the reservation in Oklahoma and Canada and what have you, if they would help us to regain our spirituality. And Lew is one of the studies, or the people who are studying, through our tribe. And it's a great undertaking, and one of the things that we had worried about, would all of the people accept, and they have, because Native American culture and Native American spirituality runs along with Christianity in these days. And this is one of the things that are going to pull our people back together.
All right, you haven't then totally lost your culture.
No.
To any degree.
No, one of the things that happens, see, living in South Jersey, if you go to one of the elders now, they'll come out and tell you. But 15, 20 years ago, when you went to talk, they'll hush you hush. Because they were still living under the assumption that they could lose their property, they could be put on a reservation. And see, the government has kept people in fear through lack of knowledge all these years. Well, through people like this, she's studying hard Indian culture through college and bringing the knowledge back to us. So that now the elders are saying, go for it. And then they're opening up and telling us things that we haven't been practicing, but they had practiced. And it's making it much more easy, and it's making it much more understandable, the things that we're learning. And because, well, like I said myself, I'm only 50, but some of the things that I knew about, but I didn't understand why. Now they're coming out and telling us because they're proud.
Well, that's good.
Prior to the opening of the program, I was talking with Tina, and she had some very fascinating things to say about the youth program and about her experiences, growing up, and like her experiences at Princeton University, something regarding a skull that was there. We didn't get a chance to finish what I wish you would elaborate and just tell us a little bit about, your experiences as a youth council.
Okay, I'd like to start off with what Mark just said about me learning stuff through my school. When I did go to Princeton University, I didn't find very many Native American options. There's no Native American Studies program, so everything that I did, I had to incorporate within my regular course of studies. What I did, however, find was the resources for me to be able to spend time and learn how to talk with people within my community. So I've spent a lot of time in the past year and a half going back and talking with the elders. Just a few weeks ago, I spent hours and hours and hours just talking with the elders in the community and asking them to tell me about my history and to give them, for the first time in their lives, a chance to speak out and tell their culture. I think one of the ways for us to start regaining our culture and our spirituality lies in returning the bones. That came in my face, basically, in a classroom where a skull was sitting at the table. in the course of the conversation, the teachers, it came out that this was a Native American skull. They also started to say things that they knew who the people were, and that this particular museum, which wasn't affiliated with Princeton University, but that they knew who the people were. And it was actually a misunderstanding, but they ended up mentioning 3 names from our community, which really disturbed me. And for the first time, I realized how desperately important it was for us to return the bones to the ground. Other people's grandmothers and grandfathers wouldn't be sitting on a table for people to drop, and which is some of the things that were occurring, mishandling. And then the opinions came out about how they couldn't understand why I would be so upset about this skull being on the table. It's a chance to look at how your people were, and I was like, but my people don't belong on a table. They don't belong in museums, and they don't belong anywhere else. And in order for me to regain my culture, to regain my identity, I have to help them regain theirs and put them back into the ground. So after that class, I spoke with some people in the university and made sure that wasn't going to happen in that classroom anymore. And then I approached the tribal council and asked them, can we take steps now that we know that there's a possibility that those people are direct descendants to do that? And they did that immediately, which made me feel very, very, very good to know that my work and that the people were getting a sense of what they needed to do. So I was very happy with that.
Where's that situation standing at the present time?
Well, I don't know. They're taking care of it at the office. Things that happen. See, when you're talking about things like that, it's a very slow process because you're fighting against the university. Even when you have things that are found locally, it might take 3, 4, 6 months to get them reinterred. Case in example, we had a fellow that was riding around with a skull on the back of his car, and when I found out about it, I called myself doing the right thing. I got in touch with the federal government, because I can't take the law into my own hands. Well, in the meantime, they got in touch with Trenton State Museum. We got through the Justice Department, we got the bones back, and come time to reinter them, and they said no, they had to be studied by the...
Anthropologist?
No, it's the one that takes care of you when you get shot or something.
The coroner's office?
The state coroner's office had to examine the bones, and then, but see, all that I can see. But what happened, this lady came down with a full team of people and started to dig through the remains.
We were standing there waiting to reinter the bones, and our people had to stand there while this team sifted through the sand and the dirt and
for what?
Disturbed our people's bones. We sat there, had to stand there.
In my particular class, the same situation came up where they had to study the bones even before they would give them back. And the reasoning behind that was that after all these years that they've been sitting in museums, if we don't do anything with them now, then it would have been a waste. And I was very shocked to see that this kind of attitude persists. And it's, I just want to clarify that was the University of Pennsylvania Museum, and they are being helpful with us now. It's just the fact that this attitude exists and that the bones are still, why we have to struggle to get them back, and have to go through their procedures and watch this kind of desecration occur.
What is the strange fascination with bones? Like what? Can anybody elaborate on that? Why?
Well, we seem to be the only ones here.
Yeah, with the bones,
that they take great pleasure in digging up, researching, and so forth. Why not dig up some of their own?
That's really...
And research them. Here again, if we were not native people, if those bones were non-native, I'm quite sure that they would not have committed the sacrilege that they did in going through those bones with a coroner. If a coroner needed to be, take a look at it, that's it, that's the end of it, into the ground. Since the remains were Native American, of an indigenous person, The government feels that it can do anything it wants to a state, town, federal, which is one of the things we're all fighting against. And I'm very glad to hear this, in particular the bones that are just sitting there.
They have us on the same level as the dinosaurs and whatever other sea mammals or whatever when you dig them up.
You're
and
right.
examine them.
You're right.
That's
Well,
it's another reason why we need our own land base so that we can reinturn our bones and we can have our ceremonies without non-native people disturbing them, looking over your shoulder, controlling us.
But I think people need to be educated too about the cultural meaning it has to us. You know, I mean, these are our people, and I think unless we have to do more educating too, to get this point across, because they're never going to stop until we have some law to protect us.
Well, you said a key word, people. We may not fit in that category to them, which is why they feel comfortable with doing anything they so choose. And which is one of the things we're trying to do with this program today, to show that, number one, we're still here on the East Coast. We're discussing indigenous people of the East Coast. And as Lenapes, as a Seminole, as a Politan, we are still here, and we are people. We are daily people. We're out there slaving from 9 to 5 like everyone else. I pay taxes. People have the misconception that we don't. I do. So we're right along with everyone else.
It's documented in 1776 that when the Indians from the East Coast were removed, there were many remnants that did not go. They stayed, they hid, they kept their culture alive in secret. It's documented. We've been here forever.
Well, they don't seem to acknowledge that. If you're going to talk about Indians, per se, you go west of the Mississippi, there you'll find Indians.
Well, this is why I'm doing this type of program. The title of the program is actually Indigenous People of the East Coast. And on my last program, I explained that when people hear the word Indian, they picture somebody on a horse out west someplace with the feathers down to the floor, and the teepees, et cetera, et cetera. And the whole idea is that I was pointing out to them that it wasn't so long ago before North Carolina was considered to be the fifth largest Indian state, and that's North Carolina. And that's over in the east here. And the idea that I think I started the phrase, "We are still here." I had these T-shirts made up around 1980, and so the T-shirts caught on, and the phrase, and even some poetry that I did. But I really came up with that slogan because people just kept thinking and assuming that all the Indians were west of the Mississippi, and I wanted them to know that they're here along the East Coast.
I think people neglect to see that those pictures and those stereotypes that we have are actually pictures of time. You know, they were true of 1800. They're not true of those people today, and that doesn't make us Indian, and I don't think people understand that. We're Indian, but as a part of our culture, in order for us not to be stagnant, we have to change. And that doesn't mean that we have to lose ourselves, but we should have the right to say what it is that makes us who we are, as opposed to people relying on these stereotypes and things.
Exactly.
Good.
Well, see, that's one of the things that we're suffering from right now. I always just explain it as the fact that there's 3 types of Indians in the outside world: those who are traditionalists, those who are walking on the fence because of economic, and those who don't want anybody to know that they're Indian. Well, I want to tell you, it takes all 3, because even those that we thought didn't want to be our brothers, that were hiding in the woodwork, they've been helping us do things that to progress, to protect their, the culture that they know is theirs. But we have staunch traditionalists, but you don't see them and they don't want to come forth and portray themselves on the TV or say I am and do things like that. They want to be left alone. They want to, well, see, we have people that we're trying to help. That's one of the things the Center is for. Let me stop talking in rhetoric here. These people, a lot of us never knew they existed. Now, he knew that he had some, and he knew who was in his family and just around. But we never knew as a group that these people were living in the old way. And just like going down Piercetown Road, you'll see a path that goes back in the woods. There's a house back there. We just, in 1993, we just put electric in a guy's house for the first time. And we have a lady that, if we turned her in for help on a government program, they would probably condemn her and make her leave her place. Things like this where the people have lived in the old way, the government condemns them for it. And it's up to us, like I said, I'm going to be turning it over to them shortly, but it's up to us to make sure that these people survive. And not just survive, live. And every way we turn, it seems like the government is trying to put some kind of stumbling block in front of you to make sure that they know they can do what they want to do, not us do what we want to do. But in the last 15 years, we're getting pretty well educated and pretty good at it, and we're bringing our people out. We're sending our children to college, but we never had these opportunities. I know the opportunity wasn't there when we came up.
Well, as long as you have the youth oriented in that vein, then you are going to succeed. I mean, there's no two ways about it. But, Tina, tell me something. How do you feel as a Native American growing up with the basic American ideals today? I mean, do you find anything conflicting with that? And what do you foresee for yourself later on in the future?
I think I'm in an interesting position as far as everyone else here in that I'm 20 years old, so I grew up knowing that I was Indian as opposed to, and being able to openly speak and being told that you don't let anyone tell you otherwise, and being proud of who I am. So from a very early age, from the very beginning, I saw the clear dichotomy between the American lifestyle and Native American. So I found that incorporation along the way, and so I don't feel too much of a conflict, and I can walk, you know, with one foot in each way, because I know I have to do that to a certain extent in order to maintain some things and to regain certain things. But as far as the future, I think we're on a good path. I'm very, like I said, I'm very excited to see the response the community had to the repatriation concerns. I was glad I didn't have those concerns by myself, and that showed me that even though in the past we may not always seem like a big community, or we may not always do this or this or this, but the heart of the people is there. And I think that just showed how strong the community is, and how much they were willing to fight to retain their identity. So I feel very, very hopeful. Like I said, I'd like to see more youth come out, but I think that's just a matter of time now that we have all these other people that are coming in the process of getting our federal recognition. A lot more people have, you know, come out, and I don't see that as a negative point. It gives them an opportunity to be proud of who they are, and that brings their children in. So I think we're in a good direction right now.
Very good, very good. Mark, I noticed that you brought some artifacts along with you. Would you mind telling us what they are, and just give us a demonstration here?
That's, well, just a few of the artifacts. This is a coop stake. Excuse me. Originally, when Europeans came, I won the battle. And that's all the Indians' warfare primarily was. I won the battle. All I had to do was come to your camp and touch you or steal your horses. Now, not now, but after the European incursion, this is a war club, like I said.
So it cracks more than walnuts.
Yes.
You went down to.
This is a banner stone on, okay, when you're talking about arrows, and you don't see much of it when you see TV, the arrows were thrown with a throwing stick. And the arrows were about this long. And this is the balancing, where you see the feathers on the small ones. This is the balance for the back of it. Keep it from falling down with the heavy stone implement on the front. And these are, like I said, these, I don't know if they can see them, are fish hooks. This is amulet, and just various arrowheads. This I'm very proud of, but the way it came about, I'm not. This I took from a preacher that I knew as a grave robber. This is a snake bowl, and one day, like I said, I'm going to leave it up to my children whether they want to put this back. I don't know where it came from, but are we running out of...
Well, yeah, probably so, unfortunately.
Maybe I better just let it show.
Well, we have a couple more things there, maybe, like that
Well,
you can...
Lew, would you explain the things on your
Just
side?
a couple of things I think we have time to,
we're
because they're
so
so
we give out.
fascinating. Yeah, right,
This
right.
is just a stone knife.
Oh, wow.
Mark was talking about us working on our culture, or whatever. This is a modern-day cutting tool. It's a piece of obsidian that was chipped the old way, like you would chip an arrowhead.
Yes.
This is a piece of obsidian that was chipped that way, and it's sharper than a scalpel.
Whoa. Could you hold up that stone knife, like, up a little higher, please? That's really fascinating.
Can we get that on camera?
Wow, that's really something. Yeah. Oh, my. Yeah.
There's some grinding tools,
Grinding tools.
sweetgrass,
Oh, yes.
sage, which is not really ours, but we use it in some of the ceremonies. There's another scraping tool,
Oh, yeah.
rough edge on it that's been chipped.
And these are all the artifacts you have.
These are
Well, not all, but
very, very little.
You know,
some of them.
Yeah, right. Oh, I wish we had more time, but we will have to do this again. I hope. I hope that after making such a long trip that and getting lost, this has put a little bit of a damper. But it's such a fascinating program that I really enjoyed it tremendously. To get to read one line, I was going to read a poem, but I say I won't have time. I'll do it another time. But Lew mentioned something about that studying us like dinosaurs, and that's interesting because a line in my poem says, "To be destroyed on paper, to be obliterated, to be erased as no longer being here, like some extinct dinosaur, by some stranger, unrehearsed in Indian lore." And that's so interesting that I was going to read this poem. I already had a line in there about an extinct, that we're being studied like extinct
It
dinosaurs.
shows that we're all thinking
and it
on the
shows
same
that
vein.
you ended up saying exactly the same, saying that line. I think that's fabulous. And I really wish that we could continue, but this is it. We have to wind it down. And thank you so much for being here. And I'm sure you will come back, I hope. I beg of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Shirley Cuffee from A Touch of Native America. I'm down here at the Nanticoke Lenni-Lenape powwow in southern New Jersey, and I'm with Mark Gould, the tribal chairman of the Lenni-Lenape people. And I hope you can appreciate the splendor that is taking place here today. And I'm so thrilled to have Mark, Pat, Ernie, and myself down here. Mark, could you tell us a little bit about your powwow, how long it's been going on, about how many people come each year, and et cetera? Just a little bit about the powwow.
First of all, I want to welcome you to our powwow. This is our 13th annual powwow. Sometimes we have 2 a year. Our powwow is set up primarily to generate funds for the youth and elders programs. We have approximately 5,000 to 10,000 people come on Saturdays and Sundays, and our participation are from tribes all up and down the East Coast. We have a few of the tribes that send dancers from out west. And generally, it's just like a homecoming for us. Most powwows are a show. Our powwows are more traditional and family-oriented.
Well, it is indeed a pleasure to be here with you, and I'm sure we're going to enjoy this powwow tremendously, especially since it is very, very traditional. I can see that, and I get the feeling of the traditional all around me. So carry on, Mark, and we'll be talking later. Okay.
Oh, Ladies and gentlemen, carrying the stars and stripes, Mr. Mark Gould, the former president of the Nanticoke Lenni-Lenape people. Carrying the New Jersey flag, Mr. Al Shannon, Lenni-Lenape, and carrying the Lenni-Lenape Nanticoke Nation flag, Mr. Raymond Ridgeway. How about a big hand for our flag bearers, folks? Directly in front of the speaker stand, we have our traditional dancers. Ladies and gentlemen, the oldest dance that the Native American people have. The traditional dancers, folks. How about a big hand for our traditional dancers? And ladies and gentlemen, we have some brass dancers with us. One with the traditional dancers, directly in front of the drum. We have our brass dancers. And directly in front of them, we have the men's dancing band. The Cuffee, the dazzling dancing band. That's good, right there. We're going to that's their head crossover. I don't know, folks, but you might, in your own mind, consider what is traditional beauty. For me, this is it, directly in front of the speaker stand. Again, some of the oldest dances that we have. The women traditional. Directly in front of the speaker stand. We have the Dutch string, and then we have the women's cloth traditional. Beautiful dancers, okay. What the lovely ladies and gentlemen, it's kids for me a little bit. This is their kids for you this week, this afternoon. We're going to ask you to remain standing with us a little bit longer. You know it is always our custom, as it is with most races of people, to always give thanks and to ask the Creator for His blessings. We're going to do that right now, and we have asked the Reverend Campbell from the Philadelphia area that he would bring the invocation for us. Oh, great morning. Father God in heaven, we come to Thee with humble hearts, of thanksgiving. We thank you for this day. We thank you for what our eyes have seen and that which our ears have heard. We see that this host tribe has come together and brought people throughout the country to give thanks and show appreciation to one another. We thank you for this time of reunion. We thank you for this time of joy and peace that we share together. It's by thy doing that in which this host tribe has been able to do so. We give thanks for them and for the many ones who have come from far and near to enjoy this annual powwow. We thank you for the dancers and their beautiful array and what it means to thee, and when we see them, what it means to us. We thank you for the drummer, because it truly is our heartbeat. We ask that you would just bless, and may we show thanks and give thanks one to another and to thee, and show our courtesy as we show our culture. Oh, we ask that thou would bless, that we might show forth.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are still here. Our native people are still here. We still have our languages. We still have our songs. We have our dress and our dances. We have survived many, many, many years now of oppression to destroy these rights that we hold so dear in our hearts. But we're still here. We dance our dances, we sing our songs. We're victorious. That's why we have this song. We've won.
And we attain more friends, and the more friends we have, the closer we're coming to uniting all the people. Now with this, we have our powwow every year to try to gain funds for the youth and elder programs. We have a center at 18 East Commerce Street in Bridgeton where the services are taken care of for these people. So like I said, enjoy yourself and be generous. Now, I have something out of the ordinary that I would like to do. Is the Massaro family here? Jane, Steve? Could I have you come forward for a minute, please? To do things like this at a powwow. We usually keep these for our people, but I wanted to show you something. There are a lot of things that we have been in need of, and a lot of things that we've asked for. I have never met anyone or any family that has been more dedicated toward the Indian movement. When we've asked, it's always come in overabundance. I never asked where it came from, but it just seems to show up. And one of the things we would like to do, we would like to have an honorary membership with the Massaro family. Jane, would you come? But see, there's two folds to this. This is the way I get my hug. Like I said, this is what friendship and help is all about. And this is what we have to go back to. If you ask your grandparents, you hear about the old barn raisings and things like that. But this is the way we have to go back. Oh-ho.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Hi there. How you doing?
Fair, yes.
Just fair. You look like you're doing pretty good.
Yeah, well.
Okay. Oh, so are you a member of the Lenni-Lenape tribe, nation? Oh, that's good. And so what's your name?
Well, the Christian name is Raymond Ridgeway. I'm a Jimmy Flicker, Gray Fox.
Gray Fox. Oh, I love that name. Yes. And do you live in the vicinity? Do you live in this area?
Yes.
Not so far? Uh-huh. And would you be considered an elder? Or am I jumping the gun here?
Getting around that
Getting to that age.
Getting to that stage,
point.
yeah.
Yeah, well, you know what? Guess what? So am I.
Yeah.
And it's sort of a nice stage to be in. Do you have grandchildren?
Oh, yeah.
You do? 9? Holy cow, that's fabulous.
6 children, 3 boys, 3 girls.
Oh, that's wonderful. Are your children here dancing today?
I have one, my youngest son, he's dancing.
He's dancing? Oh, good. So I think we'll probably get a picture of him as he's dancing.
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Well, I'm from the Powhatan tribe, Powhatan and Cherokee. Okay. And my name is, what is my name? Hold on a second, I forgot. It's a woman who has respect. That's my name. And my Christian name is Shirley Cuffee. Okay. Okay, so it's a pleasure to meet you, Brave Fox. Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, well, myself and my son and Rachel, we were like sort of ordained as spiritual medicine.
Oh, that's
but it's through this too, come up through
you would never
oh, through the soup? Oh, I see.
well, a lot of our tradition is gone, and so this is out with, sort of with those. My son, he goes to the sun dances, this is his 8th year.
Oh, that's fabulous. Well, our traditions are gone also because we're from the same vicinity.
Yeah.
You're from like Delaware.
I was born and raised
In Delaware. Okay, I was born in Virginia, and the Powhatan people live in Virginia, and I know that our traditions are gone. I have a traditional uncle. I have 2 traditional uncles. They always were traditional. They never became, like I call it, Americanized or, as American people. They always lived in the woods using the herbs, and they still, to this day, they're in their 80s. Oh, yeah, they're marvelous. And before anything happens, I'd like to see them, like maybe on a little film, if I could, like, do something with them.
Yes, you should get all that knowledge that they have up here, because the next generation, if we don't get it now, then it's gone forever.
Then it's gone forever. And I know a lot of people who they were not that fortunate. They didn't know any of their elders. And so they just have nothing to hold on to, really. So I'm really going to try very hard.
I try to live basically, as much as I can. I live right in town in Richardson, and it's hard, but I have a little area that I set up for my own spiritual ceremonies and all there. A little private area,
Yes.
have a cedar tree and all that.
Yes.
But I don't know.
Well, my uncle...
I hunt, I still hunt, hunt fish.
Yes.
I'm a plumber by trade.
Yes.
But I try to be traditional.
Hi there, tree who falls on him.
Yeah, well,
Yes, well, is that really your real name?
No, my name is Jim Gilbert.
Jim Gilbert?
Yes, yeah. And my Indian name is Jim 3-Buck.
Jim 3-Buck.
Yeah,
I like that name.
I kind of like it myself.
Yeah. Okay, Jim, you were telling us about your special name and how it came to you, and you're speaking really words of great wisdom, and I feel that our audience and myself have benefited a great deal from what you've said today. I think that you are really explaining the way of the Native American in a way that people can relate to easier, because sometimes everything is so unclear and so general when people speak of spirituality and things like that. But the way that you're explaining it today really brings it home, and I think we can all tune in and, feel much closer to it.
Well, you don't speak about your name. You don't relate that to other people.
Yes.
Only in a certain instance where maybe if you're trying to help someone to understand, so you would more or less break the rules. Ordinarily, I wouldn't talk about how I received my name.
Yes, I understand that. I realize that this was very special for you to reveal this information today. Yes.
But it's mine, and like I said, it's what I'm all about. Your name. A lot of people say, what's in a name? See? Well, Mr. Brown doesn't want to be called Mr. Smith. The Lenape people, they call us Delawares. That was because of a man named Lord Delaware, Delaware, that was from England. And all the land ceded along this Delaware River was all Lenape land. Philadelphia was a 5-town Lenape village. So we are not Delaware, we're Lenni-Lenape, which means the grandfather people. That's what it means. Now some people will say it means the people, but we always consider the grandfather people. Lenape were peaceful people that would give you your shirt off the back, which made them easy victims for the Europeans. So as the name goes, so go the people. If you're no longer known with your original name the Creator gave you, which is Lenni-Lenape, and you're called an English name, which comes from an English man named Lord Delaware, he not only is taking your land and your waters and your river and your animals and all the things the Creator has given you, he's also taking your name, which takes your culture. So in order to hang on just to your culture alone, this is a constant struggle, and it starts with a name.
It starts with a name.
That's
this
right.
is true.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you have people come from different parts of the country that are relatives.
Hello, young ladies. Can I talk with you?
Yes, you may.
Thank you. This is the first time that I'm at the Nanticoke Lenni-Lenape powwow, and I'm having a marvelous time, and I'm talking to a lot of your people, and I wanted to talk to some of the younger people, and just to get an idea, like, of what's going on, like, the present day. And can I ask your names first? What's your name?
Arlene Pierce.
This is Arlene Pierce and
Yvonne Gurley.
And as young people, I'm curious as to and concerned about what are some of your aspirations for, let's say, for the future? What are some of the things that you worry about or think about as young Lenni-Lenape women?
Right now, we're hoping that our tribe increases more. We're wanting to expand to let everybody know that who we are and where we come from and everything. And we just want to keep it going. We don't want the generation to quit or nothing. We just want it to keep going. The more that we learn, the more that we learn about our tribes, the more we are trying to understand what we did wrong, what they had done wrong with us and everything. So we're really trying to get back to our heritage. It's really good to go back to what we know what to do and everything.
Great. Okay.
And I'm hoping that we get more people and things like that, and that we can learn more about our heritage and stuff like that.
I'll tell you something, like, your wishes are going to come true, because today I have spoken to some of the most marvelous, well-informed elders that I have seen around, like with any of the nations, and the way that they talk and the kind of information that they have, you're in good shape. And all you have to do is listen to them, and talk with them, and they know just about everything. Because I learned a lot today myself.
It's always good to ask questions because the elders know more than what we do. And it's always for us to learn from them and ask questions. And they go back and tell us what our heritage was like.
That's great. And continue to follow your way.
Right.
That's very important.
Definitely.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that. Okay. Hi, guys. My name is Shirley Cuffee, and I'm from New York. I do a program called A Touch of Native America. It's a public access television program in Queens. And hopefully, sometimes it's shown in Manhattan. Hopefully, it will be shown in other states, like New Jersey and places like that. And I want to talk to you a little bit about your people, about the Lenni-Lenape. And from what I understand, and the Nanticoke. Okay. And your name is?
Harry Gould.
Harry Gould. Gould. That name sounds familiar. Are you related to the tribal council chief, Mark Gould? He's your uncle. Oh, okay. You're Harry Gould?
Yeah.
Harry Gould.
It's Harry Strongbow Gould.
Harry Strongbow Gould.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that name. Okay, so could you tell us a little, and you're?
Matt Horman.
Matt Horman. Matt Horman. Okay, so Harry, could you tell us a little bit about how it feels to be a young Lenni-Lenape man today? Like, what are some of your goals, for your tribe, for yourself personally, etc.?
For me, I'm gonna stay on the red road. That's where you stay on the Indian path. That's what I'm gonna do. Then I'm like gonna get down to earth. I want to heal myself and with herbs and all that. I just want to get all of that white stuff out. I just want to go sit to be straight Indian. So.
Fabulous. I can't think of any better goal. Okay, and you're Matt Horman. Okay, and Matt, could you tell us about your goals? And also, sort of like, you said you're Nanticoke, and our audience probably will want to know, is there a relationship between the Nanticoke and the Lenni-Lenape? Could you explain that to us, please?
There's a big relationship between Nanticoke and Lenape. We're basically the same people. We're all related. Whereas the Nanticoke, we live mainly in Millsboro, Delaware area. And the Lenni-Lenape and Nanticoke live up here in Bridgeton, and we're all interrelated. There's some Lenni-Lenapes in Cheswood, Delaware. We're all relatives, the same people.
Oh, great! That's fabulous. Okay, and so could you tell me what some of your goals are as a young Nanticoke man?
Basically the same thing. Just stay Indian and keep practicing my culture, and just do a good job at it.
I think that's fabulous, and good luck to both of you. And you have my best wishes with you, and I've sort of tried to stay that way, and I'm really approaching. I'm almost an elder. Sometimes I call myself an elder because I feel like one, but I don't have all of the wisdom yet that I need to have. So I still have to talk to people who are even older than I am in order to learn. And today I spoke to a couple of people who, they might not even be that much older than me, but they were Lenni-Lenape people, and they had so much wisdom. I learned so much today just from listening to them. So you can always learn, and you want to stay on that path. You just have to listen to your elders, and they will show you the way.
That's mostly what I do. Just listen to the elders. No back talking.
No back talk. Just listen. Right. You know how to decipher.
Because you pull more out of listening than trying to interrupt them. If you interrupt them, you just lost about that much.
Exactly. And the thing is, today, how I look at young people today and I say, well, how could they know? Because they haven't been here before. Now I've been here a long time, and there's so much that I still have to learn. But I learn a great deal by keeping my mouth shut, and whatever the older people, the elders say, I listen and I wait and I watch and I say, yeah, so that's how you do it, and that's the way to do it. Okay, so it's a pleasure meeting both of you, and thanks very much. Okay. Hi, I understand you're a Lenni-Lenape tribal chairman?
Yes, I am.
And your name is?
My name is Nanticoke from Dover, Delaware.
From Dover, Delaware. Oh, that's fabulous. I'm Shirley Cuffee, and from A Touch of Native America, and I'm indeed really privileged to be here at your powwow today, and it is fabulous. So could you tell us a little bit about your role, let's say as the tribal chairman?
Well, as a tribal chairman, we're in the middle of a reunification effort. Right now, I'm just orchestrating the tribal business and trying to pull our people back together. Scattered out.
Like all of us who were scattered out, and so it takes time, and it's a hard job. But anyway, I wish you lots and lots of luck, and I'm sure you will be, because I've spoken to some of your elders and even your young people, and they are fabulous. They're all really together in terms of their, they know who they are, and they know who they want to continue to be, and this is what it is. We are located here today. So also I'd like to let's see some of the lovely ladies that are behind the counter here who do, like, apparently I see some of the greatest crafts here that I'm sure that some of you ladies did these crafts.
We did them all.
Oh, you did them all. And there's like an X design over here, like with X's and the necklaces. And would you like to explain or tell us about some of the pieces?
Okay, well, this is a loom that we handmade.
The loom, this is the loom.
And these are concho jewelry necklace and earring sets. These are seed bead and pony beads. These are earrings, and this is a belt. And these are more necklaces. We have hair pieces, keychains, bracelets. We do just about.
Ooh, they are beautiful. Look at this.
Oh.
Okay. So she was explaining these are hair pieces. Isn't this beautiful? Yeah, yeah. And the ladies did all of this work themselves. Yes. All of it.
I'm going to try that.
I don't know.